So a young man writes in and he wants to know, is his mother being manipulative when it comes to money? He saw my video on, parents making their children pay their rent. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. He says, I recently turned 22. I've been paying bills since I was 18 or 19. At the time, it was $120 a week. And he says he was working part-time, and then he was also in school. He had to drive an hour and a half away for school. He struggled with money during that time drastically. He says he didn't get to save any of it. Fast forward to when he was 21, he just left college. He said he only did one semester. His mother paid for it. She didn't think his grades were good enough. So, I guess she stopped paying for it. So he started working once again. Once he got the job, she told him that he had 2 months to save money, and after that he had to pay $350 per month plus $87 in his phone bill and $127 in car insurance. He says also another thing, that even though he's paying rent to stay there, is that his mother does not like for him to have girls over for too long, and she doesn't like it when they sleep in the same room as you. He does it anyway. But it always creates a problem. He says he's an only child and a mama's boy, but he's been self-reflecting and he has a girlfriend now. And he doesn't understand how he can progress into the man he wants to be for her, because he wants to marry this girl, but he can't save money because all of his money goes to his mother. He wants to get an outside perspective. He's always thought his mother was doing the best for me, and he never questioned it up until now. So my stance on it is, if you are a young person and your parents want to see you succeed, and I know, a lot of people don't agree with me on this, but I'm going to stand firm on it. I don't think your parents should pay you rent. The house that you were raised in, the house that you grew up in, why are you now being forced to pay rent? In particular, if your parents want you to succeed and go to school, my belief on it is this, especially since it sounds like you're having to commute to go to school, or you at least were having to do that, over an hour away. You need to be able to focus on that. As a parent, or a parent should want you to succeed and not place additional hardships and burdens on you, particularly as you're transitioning to a person that has more responsibilities in college. College is very much, in my opinion, especially depending on what classes you're taking, college can very much feel like a job. Add to that the fact that you are commuting. So, it sounds like all of your money is going to your mother. The money that you're making is, so you don't have a chance to save. In my opinion, that is way too much. And so it might be one thing if you weren't going to college, or you weren't trying to focus completely on that, but to work, to have the expectation that you work full time and pay bills plus pay rent and all of that's way too much. Add to that wanting to put restrictions on now a room that you're renting. That's not really realistic. If you're going to charge someone rent, first of all, you're not a landlord tenant, but even if you were charging them that, then they should have rights within the place that they're paying rent for. I think it also speaks volumes if you can't, sit down and speak to your mother about finances, and how you have too much on your plate and what you're trying to achieve. It sounds like you're being spread very thin in a lot of different areas. You're also trying to mature. You're thinking about marriage. You're trying to get ahead, but this is really keeping you back, so much so that you don't have any savings. That should be something that you and your mother should be able to talk about and say, Mom, I don't have any savings. I've got to save some money here. If she's not willing to have that discussion with you, you may need to make another plan to move out, to where you can at least have some savings if you want to go to work full time. But you've got to make a plan. I do think it's ridiculous and I do think it's over the top for all of your money to be going to your mom. The other aspect of it is your college grades weren't good, but if you're expected to work and commute and do all these things, again, you're going to be stretched too thin. So I can understand why grades aren't too good. Plus, a lot of kids in general just have a lot of trouble with just adjusting from high school to college and really getting their bearings. I don't know. There could have been other things going on. I don't know you and I don't know your mother. I do think it's excessive for all of your money to be going to your mother, and that is putting you at a disadvantage to go out into the world, but also, like you said, to have some spending money for fun, to have a girlfriend and do things and do stuff. In my opinion, that's controlling, that's overbearing. She's also trying to set very rigid restrictions on what you can do in the home that you are now expected to pay for. So she wants to kind of be in charge and basically rule everything from how it's explained to me. And so there needs to be some give and take somewhere, but you also need to be able to save for yourself. Otherwise, um, you may look at other options. So my advice, my thing would be, yes, there is a bit of control here, and where she's trying to dictate what and who and what you're doing in the home and what you're able to engage in. It does seem to be a bit excessive to take all of your money, because that doesn't allow you to have any sort of wiggle room in terms of your own, like, fun, but your own advancement in terms of saving and things like that. So it may be that you can have a conversation with your mom about, those practices and sort of scale back on something. I don't think parents should charge their children rent. I just don't. I think it's ridiculous to charge children rent in a home they grow up in. There's other ways to talk to your children about finances. There's other ways to help your children save and be financially responsible. But it sounds like she's wanting you to fast track to being a man without allowing you to be a boy, and that you're going to become resentful of that over time if you haven't already. There has to be time where you can be a boy and you could, 18 or 19, how much money are you really making at 18 or 19? 120 a week is very excessive. So there's not a whole lot of freedom that you are allowed, and there's not a lot of autonomy. So she's wanting to try to control all of these things. So again, try to have a conversation. If not, try to, look at other situations that you can explore in terms of, getting your own space, renting a room elsewhere, staying with a relative, getting into a space where you can save and getting out from under, the expectation that you have to turn over all of your money, because that's going to want to lead you to escape and run into situations that aren't good for you. You're going to feel desperate, resentful. You're going to, yeah, and so you may act out based off of those feelings, and that could affect you and your mom's relationship in the long run. So I hope that helps. Thanks so much for asking this.